Thank you for the introduction, Sir Mao. So let me share my screen first. Okay, so can you confirm that you can see my screen right now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir,
Thank
for
you.
the confirmation. So good afternoon, partners, no? And welcome ulit for the end time. And siguro yung iba sa inyo have been with this event for since the first day, and we are glad that you are staying with us together with VSTECS to present to you, no, kung sino si Veeam. As I can see sa ibang mga attendees here, there are partners that are known to me already, and there are partners that are still new. So what we're going to do is we are going to divide the Veeam presentation into two parts. So for my part, I will show you the corporate overview, and Jerome later on will show you about the features, functionalities, and everything about Veeam. So just to give you a quick overview, no, kung sino si Veeam and kung sino yung mga persons here in the Philippines. So for one, we are a US-based company, and in the Philippines, we are composed of 3 people. So for myself, again, my name is Rencar Diego, and I handle the channels part of the Veeam business here in the Philippines. And later on, Jerome will also speak about siya naman yung SE natin, no? And we also have another member of our team, which is Brian Beronilla. Siya yung territory manager natin, or sa ibang terms, kilala nyo yung role na yun as an account manager. So a brief history about Veeam Philippines. Nagsimula yung transaction for the Veeam business around 2016 here in the Philippines, and around 2019, doon na nagsimula yung local headcount. So meaning nagkaroon na ng fresh body dito sa Philippines, no? And so far right now, yung direction talaga ng company is to go global. Before, our headquarters was in Switzerland, but right now, our headquarters is placed in Columbus, Ohio, which is in the US. So technically, we can say na sa ngayon we are a US-based company. So why are we moving into US? Before kasi when Veeam started, we already captured the EMEA market. Wherein sa EMEA market, we are number 1. So right now, we want to go global. That's why the move to US for the headquarters. And ilan sa mga driving factors, no, kung why we want to go global is because of the response that we get from our customers. So as you can see right here, 83% of the Fortune 500 are Veeam customers already, wherein 67% are Global 2000. Overall, we have more than 400,000 customers already. And based on the customer satisfaction rating then that we get from the surveys, from the third-party surveys that we have, so meron tayong 9 out of 10, 9.1 out of 10 in terms of the satisfaction level, product features, effectiveness. That's why, kung mapapansin niyo dito, no, on the right side, we have yung what we call the NPS index. So for some of you who are not familiar with the NPS index, siya yung kapag tinanong mo yung isang user, yung isang customer na gumagamit na ng Veeam or ng kahit anong produkto, how likely are you going to recommend this product sa iba? So the average score is 21 in the industry, but for us, our score is 75. Kaya naman yung nagkaroon kami ng maraming customer based here in the Philippines. So as you can see right here in this slide, no, we have a diverse set of customers in the Philippines, from manufacturing, government, retail, finance, banking, utilities, F&B, electronics, even non-profit. So what does this tell you, no? Ano yung sinasabi ng information na to sa inyo as partners? So with Veeam, you can offer our solution sa kahit anong vertical sa industry. Hindi kami namimili kahit kung corporate man siya, or SMB man siya, or commercial man siya. As you can see right here, halos lahat ng verticals in the market ay covered ni Veeam. So ibig sabihin lang, kapag merong isang customer na merong mga servers, merong mga computers, merong data center, pwede tayong pumasok doon. Yan. Okay, so that's why yung vision kasi ni Veeam, no, mas important sa amin that the customers and the partners trust us. We don't want to be viewed na, oh, si Veeam, siya yung lahat kaya niyang gawin. Most important of all, our vision in the company is to be the most trusted provider of backup solutions that deliver modern data protection. Iyon yung pinaka-importante sa amin. Kaya naman, so that's why when you look into the Gartner Magic Quadrant, no, if you can see right here, we are in the Leaders Quadrant for the 4th straight year. Pero before we got into the Leaders Quadrant, we were placed just right here in the Visionaries. Pero right after na pumunta kami kay Gartner, no, the following year and moving forward, nandito na kami sa Leaders Quadrant. And we are very happy to say na as of 2020, amongst the leaders in the Gartner Magic Quadrant, kami yung may pinakamataas na ability to execute. So that is a very good achievement for a company that just started from the visionaries and jumped right straight to the Leaders Quadrant. And hindi lang si Gartner yung nagsasabi noon na we are a good company. Nandyan din si Forrester, nandyan din si IDC. So if we are talking about IDC, no, konting history ulit. Meron tayong data dito around 2019 second half. Right here, you can see the other competitors or the other brands that we have in the market. If you are talking about sequential growth and year-on-year growth, if you can see right here, our sequential growth is the highest amongst all. And then for the year-on-year growth, we have 20.5%. So that's a very good achievement being considered as one of the top 5 vendors, no, pagdating sa data replication and protection. Pero kapag pinag-usapan naman natin the market share, ano ba yung market share? Ito yung kung paano nahahati yung mga companies, kung paano gumagamit yung mga customers, no, pagdating sa mga products in terms of data replication and protection. If you can see right here, 2017, second half, we are 7.8%. We belong to the top 4, top 5. Pagdating naman sa 2019, from 2017, 7.8, 7.8, 8.8, 9.5, and 10. So what does this tell you? Yung ibang customer kasi baka sabihin nila kapag inintroduce nyo sa kanila si Veeam, no, baka naman any na company lang yan na after a while mawawala na. And makikita ninyo after some time, wala na siya sa market. So if you can see right here, our market share has been growing steadily for the past few years. Kaya naman, we are very glad to say again to you, sa mga partners, no, as of second half of 2020, kung kanina nasa top 3, top 4 lang kami, ngayon, in terms of market share, globally, Veeam is number 2 already. Yan, so just behind Dell, nandiyan na kami. So si Dell naman has been around for the longest time already. And our target really, given the sequential growth of this year na 21.5% and year-on-year growth na 17.9%, we are very happy to say, no, na we are here to stay. And yung talagang goal namin is to be number 1 someday. Siyempre, lahat naman tayo, yun yung gusto. Okay? And just a bit of information, no, bakit nagugustuhan ng mga customers natin si Veeam. Ano ba yung ilan sa mga features that we have, which Jerome will also discuss shortly right after. Number 1, we are agent-free, at least for virtual environments, and we support a deep integration with VMware, Hyper-V, and Nutanix. We also have instant VM recovery, not just one, but multi-VM instant recovery. In fact, meron kaming isang napakalaking customer wherein sa POC pa lang, the feature of instant VM recovery has been the main reason why they purchased Veeam, why they switch from the other competitor papunta sa amin. Yan. And also we have may mga feedbacks din kami sa mga customers and even sa mga ibang partners namin, no? Pagdating sa kung gaano kadaling gamitin ang module ni Veeam. Lalo na, usually yung mga pre-sales, mga post-sales, sila yung laging nakaka-encounter nito. Mas madali siyang gamitin. And then, when we talk about licensing, isa sa mga strengths ni Veeam, hindi tayo komplikado maglisensya. For one, to give you an overview, we don't license the front end, the back end. We don't license the tape. We don't license the application. Ano lang yung binibilang natin? How many workloads does the customer have? So ano ba yung mga workloads? Mamaya, i-discuss ni Jerome kung ano yung mga workloads na yon. And kapag yung customer ninyo are thinking about DR automation, orchestration, and documentation, we can also do that. And another advantage or strong feature ni Veeam is that we are a software-defined product. Ano yung ibig sabihin yan para sa inyo and para sa customers ninyo? The customers can choose whatever hardware that they want. So we are not locked into a specific hardware. Kapag ginamit nyo si Veeam, they can reuse the existing hardware and then doon na lang nila ilagay yung mga backups. For you, it's an advantage for you, no? Kasi it will show them kung ano yung value ninyo as a partner to them. And another one, kapag yung customer naman gustong bumili ng mga bagong equipment, bagong hardware para sa backups nila, wala ring problema. Kasi sabi nga natin, we are software-defined, we are hardware agnostic, we don't have hardware limitations. Okay? And lastly, before I end up my slide now, on my presentation, please do go to this site, propartner.veeam.com. So iyan yung portal ng mga partners natin. You just have to sign up and you will be approved immediately. So ano yung makikita ninyo sa Pro Partner Portal? Number 1 is deal registration. Number 2, yung isa sa mga palaging hinahanap ng mga events sa sales, even sa mga pre-sales. Do you have presentation slides that we can use for our meetings? Yes, we do have. Pwede ninyong i-download yan sa portal natin. Another request na lagi naming nakukuha sa mga partners namin. Ano yung difference ninyo kay vendor A, vendor B, vendor C? Meron ba kayong ganon? So meron din kaming ganon. Competitive intelligence yung tawag natin doon. Lahat madadownload nyo rin kay propartner.veeam.com. Kapag may kailangan din kayo about marketing, nandyan din sa website na yan. So it's a vast repository of information, and if you want guidance, kung may tanong kayo about that, sabihan nyo lang kami, and the Veeam team kay VSTCS, we are more than willing to help you. Okay, so please stick on until the end of the presentation, and right now I will turn on the floor to Jerome. Yeah.
Thank you, Ren. Yeah. So let me just share my screen. Oops. Yeah, Sir Mao or Ren, can you please confirm if you can see my screen? Yeah.
No, sir.
I know. Let me share it again. Huh? Okay. Yeah. Can you confirm, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Nakita na po namin.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. So, hello, partners. Good afternoon. Thank you for taking the time, to attend this session. And we hope that you will have a lot of takeaways for this session. And then, of course, in terms of providing modern data protection. Okay. Again, my name is Jerome Marino, Systems Engineer of Veeam Philippines. Okay. So to start, I would like, of course, to share with you, as you may probably observe, the importance of data has grown to drive every aspect of the digital business. And of course, the need for a solution that can provide more than to ensure its availability, but of course to provide resiliency, no, for your data. Okay, so which means data protection must move to a higher state of intelligence. Okay, and ensuring reliable backup, instant recovery, and reuse of data, whatever requirements our customer might have. No? Okay, so to discuss more, disasters happen all the time. No, as you may probably know, Philippines belong to the Pacific Ring of Fire. No, that's why we are very prone to experience earthquake, and then due to climate change, storms and floods are already been part of our lives and already become a norm. No? Okay, so accidental fire could also happen or occur, and then attack from the inside is also a possibility. That's why it's really important to have a backup and disaster recovery solution in place. So we, as vendors, no, dealing with our customers, we need to ask them, no, how do they mitigate ba yung mga ganitong klaseng catastrophic disaster, no, in terms of providing availability for their most precious data. Okay. So legacy backup is not meeting your business needs. Okay. So probably most of our customers have already a backup solution in place, no, that they have had for several years, and it may be doing the same job it has for years, which is backup data as it was set up to do. But as time goes by, when we talk about digital transformation, having a hybrid setup, leveraging cloud, the cloud hyperscalers such as AWS, Google, Microsoft Azure, and so on and so forth. No, our backup solutions should be able to integrate with this type of architecture. No? So that's why it's really important that we should ask our customers if their legacy backup software or solution, how much time does it require to install and even configure? Can it be implemented by in several minutes? Okay. Do they know about the problems that might come, no, before it become an issue? So dapat in terms of checking, managing our customers' data, dapat proactive. It's not anymore more on the reactive mode, no. Kapag nandiyan na yung problem, then saka mo i-isolate or gagawa ng solution. Okay. So in addition to that, does the existing solution is capable ba to your business at a price point that works for you or works for our customer? Earlier, Ren mentioned about some of our competitors, no, backup vendor A or backup vendor B. They have a very complex licensing scheme. No, aside from the instances, they also need to have a front-end capacity, something like that. No, so which means an additional cost to our customer. Okay, additional question that we should also raise to our customer is how portable is your data. No, once they do backup, how sure are they na kaya nilang ma-restore to without any issues at all. No, and then let's say after 5 or 10 years down the road, let's say they will not renew their existing backup software. What will happen to their backup data? Can it still be restored or not? Okay. So these are the most common questions that we should, highlight to our customers. In addition to that, does their existing backup solution requires a specific hardware? Okay. So dapat when we talk about digital transformation, dapat their solution must be hardware agnostic. No, that's why you have the flexibility to move your workloads or backups from on-prem to cloud or on a hybrid. Okay. So moving on. Okay. So mastering the 3-2-1-1-0 rule. Okay. So what does it mean? No? Okay. So one of the timeless rules that can effectively address a failure scenario is called the 3-2-1-1-0 rule. Okay. The 3-2-1 rule actually became a popular concept thanks to Peter Krog. No? Si Peter Krog is a well-known photographer who wrote that there are two groups of people. No? Those who have already had a storage failure, and then those who will have one in the future. So the question now is really a matter of when, no? Kailan tayo makakapag-encounter ng mga disaster in our data center. Okay, so when we say 3, it means that you must have 3 different copies of data. So one is your production data, and then the other 2 will be your backup copies. No? And then two, which means your backup files must be stored on two different type of medias. So it can be on a disk or it can be on tape, or sometimes it can be using object storage. No, you may use yung mga S3 compatible object storage or the likes of AWS S3 and Azure Blob. No, okay, and then one should be an offsite. No, one copy should be offsite. Okay, and then the additional 10, one of which should be offline, air gap, or immutable. No, so once it's immutable, so no one can be deleted, can alter those data. So this is also a solution to address the ransomware attacks that our customers might face. Okay, and last but not the least, the most important one as well is there must be no errors in terms of performing your backup and then restoring it. Okay, so kindly take note all of this in terms of the concept of the 32110 rule. No? Aside from me having a questions in the latter part of my presentation, please take note of all of this po. Okay. So next, okay, single platform for cloud, virtual, and physical workloads. So we have our Veeam Availability Platform, which is the complete solution to help our customers evolve the way they manage data from policy-based to behavior-based to make it smarter and self-governing. Okay. As you can see in my slide, we have our Veeam Availability Platform, which comprises of the Universal Storage APIs. Okay, Universal Storage APIs is our APIs so that we can integrate with the hardware vendors below. No, as you can see, we work with HPE, Lenovo, IBM, Dell EMC, Nutanix, Cisco, just to name a few. No, okay. So we have opened up our API so that we can integrate with these storage and HCI vendors. Okay. On top of our universal storage APIs, we have our backup and replication, which provides the data labs. Okay. So for backup and replication, this is where we configure our, of course, creating a backup job for your workloads. No? Not only backup, but we can also provide a replication solution. Replication, and also recently in our V11 release last February 26, okay, we have launched our new feature, which is CDP, okay, continuous data protection, that I will discuss earlier. I will discuss later. Sorry about that. Okay. Next, in terms of virtual workloads, so as you can see on the leftmost of my slide, you will see VMware, vSphere, Hyper-V, Nutanix Acropolis. So these are the hypervisors that we do support. No? And then if some of you have attended our Veeam On held only a few weeks ago, we just stated that we will now support Red Hat Virtualization Hypervisor. Okay. Aside from these three, so we also now we will now support the Red Hat Virtualization Platform. Okay. In addition to the virtualized environment, in terms of physical, we do provide backup and recovery for your physical workloads, whether Windows, Linux, AIX, and Oracle Solaris environment. Okay? But of course, we need to check for the interoperability. What's the OS version installed, and then the patches, and then the applied patches. No? Okay, so that's for physical workloads. Aside from virtual, physical, we also provide backup for your NAS file servers. No? Kung meron kang mga specific shared folders that you would like to back up, then it is also included. Okay? When it comes to software as a service, we do provide Veeam Backup for Office 365. Okay? So if you have an existing Office 365, then we provide backup for that, backup and restoration. So in my next slide, so I'll discuss more about our offering for BBO or Veeam Backup for Microsoft Office 365. Okay. When it comes to cloud workloads, so as I mentioned earlier, we do support Microsoft Azure VMs, SQL VMs. We provide backup and recovery for your AWS instances, EC2, okay, RDS, as well as the VPC or the Virtual Private Cloud. We also support Google Cloud Platform and IBM Cloud as well. Okay. Also forgot to mention underneath on the Universal Storage APIs, aside from the hardware vendors that I mentioned, we also support yung object storage, yung mga S3 compatible. Okay. So to discuss more about our Veeam backup for Microsoft Office 365, which is now on version 5. So as you can see on the leftmost, we have the protect, store, and recover. So when we talk about protection, so on the Office 365, it comprises kasi of multiple feature or products such as yung Exchange, SharePoint, OneDrive, as well as Microsoft Teams. No? So for this type of applications, we provide a Veeam backup for Microsoft Office 365. So partners, let's say if the customer wants to implement backup within the cloud. So when we say backup within the cloud, meaning to say backup within Azure or backup within AWS. Okay, so we have that capability to install our Veeam backup for Microsoft Office 365 on Azure or on AWS, and then use their object storage, the S3 or the Azure Blob storage as the repository of your backup. No? As you can see here, so we are leveraging with Amazon S3, Microsoft Azure Blob, IBM Cloud, as well as the other S3 compatible storage. No? Now, if the customer naman have they want to implement it on-prem, then we also have that capability. And then if they have an existing on-prem Exchange, then we can also provide a backup for that. Okay. And then on the right side, you will see the recover. No, what are the options in terms of recovering from your backup, no, of your Office 365. Okay, so when it comes to restoration, we will use our Veeam Explorer to do a granular or on the application level of restoring your Microsoft Exchange, Microsoft SharePoint, OneDrive, as well as Teams. No, so you can restore it. You can restore it and send it via email. You can save it as a specific Microsoft Office 365 extension file. You can also explore then yung export and then use a self-service restore via a service provider. No, aside from of course offering our solution as a VAR via a value-added reseller, we also have our Veeam Cloud Services providers partners. No. So if the customer wants to have a BAAS requirement lang, meaning to say yung partner na yung magme-maintain for their backup as well as disaster recovery. So that's the solution that we are offering via BCSP. No? Okay, moving on. Okay, so probably you have already experienced or encountered customers asking or inquiring about providing backup and recovery for their cloud native solution, which is yung mga containers, no, Kubernetes. Okay, so with Veeam, so last year in October 2020, okay, Veeam acquired Kasten. No, Kasten is the leading backup and recovery solution for containers. No, so Veeam actually seen this the rise of the usage of containers and having a Kubernetes environments. Okay, so this is where we provide a solution in backing up those containers. No? Okay. Next, any app, any data, and any cloud. Okay. So to discuss more on our solution for backup and recovery for the physical, virtual, cloud, and NAS workloads, we have our Veeam Availability Suite. So Veeam Availability Suite is our software solution that comprises of two major products, which are Veeam Backup and Replication, which is the heart or the central management for providing backup and recovery, while yung Veeam One naman is the one who provides the monitoring, capacity, and then health of your backup environments. Okay, for Veeam Availability Suite, just like what I've said, we provide backup and recovery for your virtual workloads, cloud workloads. Okay, so in providing solution or backup solution and recovery for your virtual environment, we don't need to install any agent na. So it's agentless based, no? In terms of providing backup for your vSphere as well as Microsoft Hyper-V hypervisors. No? For Nutanix Acropolis naman, we do have our AHV proxy to handle the communication between our BBR as well as to the Nutanix hypervisor. Okay. When it comes to backing up physical workloads, we have Veeam agents for Windows and Linux environment. So pagdating naman sa mga physical workloads, that's the time that we install agents. No? So we can support physical servers, workstation, as well as cloud VMs then, no? Just like what I've said. Okay. So moving on. So just to show you the high-level architecture of our Veeam Backup and Replication server. Okay. So as you can see here, so our Veeam Backup and Server, which is the central management of providing backup, recovery, as well as replication. No? BBR actually runs or can be installed inside a virtual machine or a physical workload or physical server. Okay. On the left side, you will see the type of source or the workloads that I would like to back up. No? And then from the source, we have our backup proxies. So these backup proxies naman handles the coordination, handles the compression and the duplication, as well as communication from your source going to your repository. So on the right side of the backup proxies, you will see the scale out repository. So pag sinabi nating scale out repository, this is the target storage, no, for your backup data. Okay, so once you back up your virtual, physical, or NAS workloads, automatically, ang magiging extension file niya would be yung ating .bbk, and then for full backup, and then .vib for incremental files naman. Okay, once you have stored it on a repository, you have the flexibility, no, to move your backup data or to create another copy going to tape or going to object storage. Again, partners, kindly, as mentioned earlier, the 3-2-1-1-0 rule, no? Dapat we must have 3 copies of our data. One is the production, and then 2 copies should be stored on 2 different type of medias. One is on the storage or disk, and then the other one could be on tape, and then or could be on object storage. Okay. There are, to be exact, there are 90 ways, no, to do restoration for your backup files. But for this session, I'll just highlight lang 5, no. Baka I will take so much of the time discussing the 90 options, no. Okay, so start first with full VM. So using our Veeam Backup and Replication, we can perform a full VM backup file, no. So let's say we're going to restore a VMware vSphere VM. We can fully restore yung mga VM files niya. So ano-ano ba yun? Di ba? We have the .vmdk file, .vmsd, vmsn, .vmx, and so on and so forth. For Microsoft Hyper-V naman, we have the .vhd or .vhdx. So we can do that full VM restoration for your virtual machines. Okay. For full VM restoration, so that's for virtual machines. Next is we can do instant VM recovery in minutes. So what does it mean? No? So instant VM recovery in minutes, yung mga backup files natin of those particular VMs is nasa backup repository pa. It is still not running on the production storage. So with that, in minutes, we can actually do the restoration of those VMs. No? Aside from doing an instant VM recovery, with our version 11, we can now provide support for instant SQL or Oracle VM recovery in minutes. So you can perform instant VM recovery to VMware vSphere as well as to Microsoft Hyper-V. Okay. In addition to that, we can also do instant VM disk recovery that enables you to instantly restore a VM disk from a backup file. Okay. Next, VM files restore or guest files. So we have the capability to restore a specific file on the OS level, whether Windows ba yan or Linux, as well as Mac operating system. So we do now support it, as well as the application items. So for application items, we have the capability to restore granularly yung ating mga enterprise applications such as Exchange, SQL, Oracle, and so on and so forth. Okay, and then lastly, we have the capability to do direct restore to cloud. No, So we like for example, if the customer has a hybrid setup, no, they have their on-prem and then they have, let's say, Microsoft Azure. So using our solution, Veeam Backup and Replication, we can restore the VMs to the cloud. No, let's say naubusan na ng capacity or compute capacity si customer, they have the flexibility to leverage with the cloud. No, and then pay per use, no, based on the number of specifications that they've allotted for that particular VM. So you can do direct restore to cloud, whether on Azure, AWS, as well as GCP. Okay. Again, as I mentioned also earlier, if the customer only have a cloud environment, let's say purely running lang on Microsoft Azure or AWS cloud, so we can do a backup within those cloud platforms. No? So we have a native way to do a backup and restoration. Okay. So moving on, we have our Veeam Explorers. So for our Veeam Explorer suites, it extends the functionality of Veeam Backup and Replication. So as I've said, it allows you to restore or export your data from backup or replica files. No, we do support you granular restoration of these applications: Oracle, SharePoint, SQL Server, Active Directory, Exchange, and Veeam Explorer for storage snapshots. Yeah, so we have our APIs that we work with those third-party storage vendors para makapag-perform tayo ng storage snapshots and as well as restoration. Okay. Moving on, we have our Veeam One. No? So Veeam One, again, it's part of our Veeam Availability Suite. One is our Veeam Backup and Replication, and then this one is our Veeam One. No? Veeam One for monitoring tool. So Veeam One, it provides complete visibility and control. No? It provides the status of your backup, virtualized environment, as well as Veeam Backup and Replication, backups of your physical workloads using Veeam agents, VMware vSphere, no, for your VM workloads. If the customer has a vCloud Director, so we also have that kind of integration. We have the capability to also view and monitor Microsoft Hyper-V workloads as well as Nutanix AHV. So Veeam One provides a 24/7 real-time monitoring and alerting. It provides resource optimization and as well as configuration tracking. Meaning to say, if meron tayong mga misconfiguration, so it will be highlighted by our Veeam One. If naubusan na tayo ng capacity in terms of compute, storage, then automatically we will be informed by our tool. So we have the capability to do capacity planning and forecasting. And then in some cases, if the customer needs to have a chargeback, meaning charging their internal user, probably it could be a different departments, like for example, HR, support team, or typical finance team. Okay, so they can do that. If not chargeback naman, they also have the capability to do showback. No? So when we say showback, ito naman yung capability to provide a reports to the upper management that this is the current usage utilization of our different departments, and then this is the additional requirement that I need, no, to sustain that to sustain the availability and resiliency of our infrastructure. Okay. So moving on, expect more from your data protection. So again, V11 was launched last February 26, no, 2021. So this release actually has numerous features and functionalities, but I would like lang to discuss these 5 features and functionalities. So first, I'll start with continuous data protection. Okay, continuous data protection. This is a feature wherein we provide a lower RPOs for our mission critical application. So what do I mean by lower SLA, lower RPO SLA? So with continuous data protection, you can set up to 2 seconds RPO for your mission critical applications. Okay, so probably our customers would ask us, So ano ba yan? Pwede ko bang i-apply yan with all of my VMs or of all of my VMware vSphere VMs? So of course the answer is no. No. So again, at the end of the day, we should still rely or check on the SLA or on the RPO of the customer. Okay. Next, please also take note that continuous data protection only runs on VMware vSphere. So it's purpose-built on VMware vSphere. So we have our hardened Linux repository. For hardened Linux repository, we have the capability to do immutable storage for our Linux operating system. So it works with Linux OS. Okay. Next is we have the capability to move our backup files from, let's say, S3 to AWS Glacier, and then from Azure Blob to Azure Archive. And then expanded instant recovery, we have the capability to do instant recovery for your SQL servers as well as Oracle. Okay. And then Veeam powered BAS and VR as a service for our VCSP partners. Okay. Okay, so two of my last slides. So again, with those features, those products that I've mentioned or shared with you, we use a Veeam Universal License. So Veeam Universal License, we license per workloads per instance. So pag sinabi nating workloads, it can be a virtual, physical, cloud workloads, enterprise application, or even a NAS file share. So for a NAS file share, for every 500 GB, that is considered as one license. Okay. So 3 simple words on why Veeam. So our solution is simple, flexible, and then reliable. When I say simple, it's very easy to use. You can install and run it in minutes. Flexible, we are software-defined solution. We work with any other hardware platforms. And then our solution is reliable. It just simply works. Okay. And with that, okay. So actually that concludes my my presentation.